Welcome to today's Explainer. So, Meta just did something pretty wild. They raised the prices on their Quest headsets right in the middle of their life cycle, completely shaking up the spatial computing world. This is a very real, tangible change for anyone looking to buy into VR right now. Today, we're going to unpack exactly what this price hike means for the broader future of affordable standalone VR and answer the big question: is this hardware still worth your hard-earned cash?
Okay, let's talk about this sticker shock. Usually, in the world of consumer electronics, when a device has been out on the market for a while, it gets cheaper, right? Well, we are looking at the exact opposite today. We're talking about a sudden price jump of up to $100 on Meta's current hardware lineup. Keep in mind, this isn't some shiny new generation of headsets being released. This is a literal premium being slapped onto the exact same tech that was sitting on store shelves just last week. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll unpack the exact price changes, the undeniable economic pressures driving those changes, how the VR value equation stacks up right now, and finally, give you some honest, actionable advice for buying. All right, Section 1, the Quest price hike. Let's get right into exactly what changed at the checkout counter on April 19th. So, the new reality for your wallet is pretty clear. We're looking at a flat $50 bump across the budget-friendly Quest 3S line, which brings that 128 gig model to $350 and the 256 gig up to $450. Meanwhile, the flagship 512 gigabyte Quest 3, that one spikes by a full $100, landing at $599. Now, sure, technically that's still cheaper than its initial launch price back in 2023, but man, it is a really harsh jump from where it was just last month.
But here's a detail that is just fascinating. While Meta kept the baseline prices exactly the same for official accessories and their super popular Ray-Ban smart glasses, they went ahead and pushed matching $50 to $100 increases onto their certified refurbished headsets too. Since refurbished units are typically a way to clear out older parts at a discount, raising prices there really signals a deep, systemic shift in their underlying costs.
So, what's Meta's excuse? Well, they were actually highly transparent about it, straight up blaming the global RAM crisis. They stated that the cost of building high-performance VR hardware has risen significantly, and they specifically called out the global surge in memory chip prices that is hitting almost every category of consumer electronics. And to be fair, they definitely aren't alone here. Sony and Microsoft recently had to adjust prices on their own hardware for the exact same reasons. Which brings us to Section 2. Why are prices rising? Is it really just about expensive memory chips, or is there a bigger corporate reality forcing Meta's hand here? Analysts at IDC actually back up Meta's claim. They're projecting that system memory costs are surging by up to 50% this quarter alone. Why? Well, massive AI data centers are literally gobbling up these chips at an unprecedented rate. And since a standalone VR headset is essentially a super-powered smartphone strapped to your face, this external squeeze hits the VR industry incredibly hard. But we really have to look at the whole picture here. We have to put those external supply chain issues, rising bill of materials costs, side by side with Meta's immense internal pressures. Yes, the chip shortage is real, undeniable physics, but Meta's also a trillion-dollar company that historically subsidized headset costs just to build an audience. Wall Street's patience for those subsidies is wearing incredibly thin as the corporate focus shifts heavily toward general AI development. Let's put some scale to that financial pressure. Meta's Reality Labs division has been operating at an absolutely staggering deficit, losing over $6 billion per quarter. Cumulatively, that is nearly $84 billion over the last 6 years. Yeah, billion with a B. Investors are actively demanding a path to profitability, which basically means the era of Meta happily eating hardware costs to lower the barrier of entry, that era is likely over. And that massive financial bleeding has triggered sweeping corporate shifts. Just months before this price hike, Meta slashed their Reality Labs workforce by 10%, eliminating roughly 8,000 jobs. They closed several first-party VR development studios. They rolled back deep investments in VR-specific world building for Horizon Worlds, and they heavily reduced funding for third-party developers through Oculus Publishing. They are pivoting hard toward profitability. Which brings us to a surprisingly simple reason for Meta's shifting focus: the 3-to-1 ratio. Right now, Meta's Ray-Ban smart glasses are outselling their Quest VR headsets 3-to-1. It turns out, glasses that make you look cool and enhance your everyday life are currently winning out over bulky headsets that replace your reality and, let's be honest, mess up your hair. Meta is aggressively repositioning its business model to reflect that reality. Section 3, the VR value equation. With prices jumping up and smart glasses totally stealing the spotlight, we need to objectively ask, is the Quest 3 still the best standalone value out there? When you put the Quest's new $599 price tag next to the competition, honestly, it holds up remarkably well. Samsung's Galaxy XR launched at a whopping $1,799, literally 3 times the cost of the Quest 3. Meanwhile, Valve's highly anticipated Steam Frame standalone headset has been delayed. Valve specifically came out and said they had to revisit their pricing and shipping schedule because they are battling the exact same memory chip crisis that forced Meta's hand. Now, there is one tethered alternative worth mentioning. If you already own a PlayStation 5 console, Sony's PSVR 2 has quietly become this fantastic hidden value deal, especially since recent PC adapters have given it a second life on Steam. But, and this is a massive caveat, it is fundamentally tethered. You have to be physically plugged into a console or a high-end PC. You lose that true standalone freedom that makes the Quest so frictionless to just pick up and use. So despite this frustrating price hike, the Quest platform remains fiercely competitive. I mean, they still control a massive 53% of the standalone VR market. They've built up this insurmountable ecosystem of over 10,000 apps and games. Even at $599, the flagship model is still cheaper than its initial launch price. And fundamentally, you don't need an expensive external PC or console to run it. It is entirely self-contained spatial computing. Section 4, how to buy VR now. Let's break down some honest, no-nonsense buying advice based on exactly what kind of purchaser you are today. Here is our strategic breakdown. First-timers looking to dip your toes in, stick to the base model Quest 3S at $350. It has the exact same processor as the flagship and plays all the exact same games. Upgraders currently rocking a Quest 2, honestly, hold your cash right now unless your current headset is completely, irreparably broken. And for the gift buyers out there, you gotta hunt aggressively at major retailers for bundled deals. Try to find packages that include blockbuster games like Batman Arkham Shadow to help soften the blow of that hardware price increase. Look, price increases are never good news for consumers, right? Paying more for aging tech is a really bitter pill to swallow. But the bigger question is whether Meta's VR is still worth the money. And right now, when you look at the entire landscape, the Quest absolutely remains the undisputed king of affordable standalone VR. So is it still worth it? Yeah, the answer is still probably yes. Now, we want to pass the analysis over to you. Did this mid-cycle price hike completely ruin your purchasing plans or change whether you'd recommend the Quest 3? And honestly, what is your absolute breaking point for standalone VR pricing? Let us know what you think. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer and keep exploring.